Hello, and welcome to Teen Talk. Our topic today is about music through the decades. Music has been around almost as long as human beings. We hear it every day, it motivates us, it makes us cry, it'll always be present in our lives. Music trends change every day, and it got us thinking about what genres of music define each decade. Let's start with the 1960s, when the assassination of President Kennedy, the escalation of war in Vietnam, and the forward progress of civil rights movement all greatly impacted the mood of the American culture, and music began to reflect that change. The British invasion is the name given to the period of time in the early mid-1960s during which many British rock bands and pop artists found mainstream success in the United States and worldwide. Many of these bands first started by covering American songs and showcasing an American rock and roll and R&B influence in their sounds. As these bands gained popularity, many of them ventured into new music territory and created their own unique styles. The one band that comes to mind when speaking of the British invasion is the Beatles, who first broke into the US music scene in 1963, but really became popular in 1964 after appearing on The Ed Sullivan Show. The Beatles dominated worldwide charts from that point in time until they broke up in 1970. If ever a music style defined a decade, disco was the definition of the 1970s. People may have grown tired of the fighting that happened the previous decade, and many of them sought a refuge in dance clubs and other places to enjoy a good time. Out of this idea emerged the disco movement. Although its popularity was relatively short-lived, the genre hosted a great deal of songs and artists that people are still dancing to today, and had a large influence on the fashions of the decade too. Van McCoy's The Hustle has often been referred to as the definitive disco track, and many people say it was the first disco song created. Gloria Gaynor also enjoyed disco popularity with their anthem I Will Survive. The Bee Gees also helped to define the disco genre with their hit Jive Talkin'. And their blockbuster Stayin' Alive as well is often synonymous with the disco musical era. The Village People's YMCA and Macho Man also helped to add to the popularity of this style of music. In the 1980s, music was dramatically changed by introduction of MTV, music television. This meant that music videos became more and more of a necessity in order for artists to gain popularity, especially with the youth, and sell records. A greater importance was placed on the appearance of musicians, and gimmicks became commonplace. Michael Jackson emerged as one of the most dominant artists of the decade and was held by his creative music videos and pure talent, with his Thriller album and videos setting pop music standards. Like the 60s, the 1990s was a decade of extremes, with underproduced, anti-establishment grunge bands and gangster rappers enjoying just as much success as the overly produced and studio-manufactured pop groups. The decade was ruled by powerful singers with Mariah Carey, Celine Dion, and Whitney Houston topping the charts. Many artists' personal problems, including drug abuse and rap feuds, overshadowed a lot of the talent during the decade as well, with the death of many popular musicians due to drug overdose and the murders of rappers like Notorious B.I.G. and Tupac Shakur. The music of the 2000s showcased a variety of genres and reflected a great deal of the pop music that came from the 90s, with many of the same artists and bands remaining popular between the two decades. For a decade filled with much suffering in terms of the September 11th attacks, 2 wars in the Middle East, and an economic downturn, a lot of the music had to strike a fine balance between upbeat and optimistic, while still reflecting the pain that many experienced. Some of the more popular genres of the decade included dance pop, indie rock, and emo. Music will continue to change and develop before our eyes. Remember to take a step back once in a while and appreciate how far we have come. We went from full orchestras to being able to record an entire song and its components on a computer. As technology grows, it will continue to impact the types of music we are drawn toward. and the sounds this decade produces are going to change the future.